Hi guys, so today I'm going to review a movie, and the movie is called The Invisible Guest. This movie is directed by Oriol Paulo and also written by Oriol Paulo. And this movie is starring Mario Casas. Casas, is that how I spell it? Casas, okay. Casas, Anna Wagner, Jose Coronado, and also Barbara Lenny. This film is distributed by the Warner Bros. Pictures and it's released on 23rd September of 2016. This film is 106 minutes long. This movie provides some characters, and the first character is Mario Casas as Adrian Doria. Well, Adrian Doria is an unsuccessful businessman, but he is arrested because his lover, Laura Fidel, was murdered. And because he is the only defendant, he needed some lawyer to help him away from the iron cage. And actually, he covers up the real crime and make another crime scene. The second one is Anna Wagner as Virginia Goodman. Virginia Goodman is actually a fake lawyer that came to Adrian's apartment to help him in the Judgment Day. Actually, she is the Thomas' wife, and she covered up herself to find out the truth about the killer of his only child. She listened to Adrian's facts, but she knew that Adrian isn't telling the truth. And the third one is Jose Coronado as Thomas Garrido. This is the man who saw Lara at the mountains and helped her because her car was damaged because of a crash and couldn't start. And as he brought Lara to his house, he already suspicious because of Laura's behavior. But he's not giving up until he gets the killer of his son. And the fourth one is Barbara Lenny as Laura Fidel. Laura is the lover of Adrian. Even though they had their families on their own, they keep on spending time secretly together. Laura is the victim of the hotel's murder, and Adrian said that Laura is killed by Thomas, but she wasn't killed by Thomas. She was killed by somebody else. And the last one is Frances Orella as Felix Leiva. So, Felix is the lawyer, the first lawyer that Adrian cooperated with, but he knew that he can handle this case all by himself, so he gave Adrian the more professional one, Virginia Goodman, who hasn't lost a single battle in the judgment. He doesn't know that Adrian was the culprit. He often helps Adrian by corrupting the witnesses. And so you might notice my clothes is different because I have to stop and do the chemistry project work, group project. And so let's continue. The summary of the movie is, at the first, Adrian was the only defendant for some murder in the mountainside hotel, so he have to call a lawyer to help him in the Judgment Day. And he called Virginia, and then Virginia came. Virginia have to know the whole truth of the story so he can defend Adrian. And then Adrian began with this story. He started his story with his affair. He had an affair with a a woman named Laura, and he and Laura spent some time together in some cabin at some place near the woods. And when they came home, it was on the mountainside road. So they were in little fight. Adrian knew that the thing he does is not right and he wanted to stop, but Laura didn't want to. So they had a little fight and they didn't focus on the street, and so a deer passed by and Adrian tried to turn so the deer will be okay, but eventually there's another car on the other road, so their car crashed. And when they want to look at the other car, eventually the man who on the car is dead. So they want to leave it there. So they will get into the jail. They want to leave the body there and go home fast. But there's a witness that eventually passed by. So Laura and Adrian pretend to have the both of cars and were compromising about the damage. And when the man gets away, Laura is very scared and she wants to get rid of the body of themselves. So Adrian took the man's car, the dead man's car, and drove it away. But Adrian's car can turn on, and then Thomas arrived. Thomas is trying to help Laura because her car is not working. So he opened up the car and said that he could help, but this car must be brought to his house. And then when the car goes to Thomas's house, Thomas fixed it, and then Laura was inside with Thomas' wife, and his wife told Laura about his son. And then when Laura saw the picture of Thomas' son, she realized that actually the dead man is Thomas' son, and he's named Daniel. So in the brief way, Laura and Adrian accidentally killed Daniel, but they don't want to tell Thomas and his wife about it. So Laura gets away very quickly, but Thomas knew that something isn't right. And then when Adrian pushed Daniel's car into the lake, Laura picked him up, and then she said that she met the dead man's parents. And then a few days passed and Daniel didn't go home, of course. And when Daniel didn't get home, his parents already felt suspicious and scared. Thomas thought that Daniel must have into a car accident, so they searched for him for a while at the mountainside road, but didn't find any clue. And after the few days, there's a news that told Daniel had stolen 5,000 euros, 5,000 euros from his company that he worked for, and that the police thought that Daniel is trying to run away because he doesn't want to get caught for stealing the money. Thomas knew that it wasn't right, so he want to meet Adrian a couple of times, but Adrian always denied it, that I don't kill your son or whatever. And then sometimes he got a call from someone that he actually have to go to some hotel near the mountain, near a snowy mountain, and bring Laura with him, and also some cash. So they took a train into that hotel, and then they go to a specific room to wait the caller to go there. But accidentally Adrian got hit in the head like that, and he passed out, and Laura get killed in that room. So since there's no proof and the room was totally locked, the window was locked, the door was locked, there's no way out, so Adrian got caught and was the only defendant for Laura's death. After Virginia heard that, she immediately realized that and came in her own plot story, that maybe Thomas has attacked you and worked together with his wife, who is working on the mountain snowy hotel at that time. So maybe they worked together and helped from that room. Actually, after Virginia told that, Adrian admit that he actually saw Thomas attack him. So when he passed out, he kinda like that. So he knew that Thomas is the attacker. But Virginia came into another plot, and she created a plot that maybe the culprit was really Laura. Maybe Laura wanted to move away the corpse of the Daniel, and Laura captured you to go to that hotel. And Virginia thought that maybe Laura had attacked Adrian, but Adrian tried to defend himself. So he attacked Laura, and Laura accidentally died. But Adrian, at the first time, he agreed because he had no other choices. And then Virginia came to another plot, a crime plot, that Adrian, was the real culprit, that he is the one who wants to get rid of the body and drown it into the lake. And if he actually get into the Laura's trap, and he knew that Laura was going to tell everybody about some murder that he and Laura did. So Adrian tried to stop Laura, but she didn't want to, so Adrian has no one else, and Adrian doesn't have any choices. So he decided to kill Laura, and then he realized that he can't go away from that room. And then Adrian, and after Virginia told that, Adrian got angry, and he said that, that's right, I killed Laura, and actually I have something to tell you. That actually, when the corpse is inside the back part of the car, when he pushes down to the lake, river, swamp, maybe swamp, he heard some voices from the car, and when he opened up the back of the car, he realized that Daniel is still alive. But Adrian decided to close the door and then pushes down into the lake or swamp. And whether he knows that Daniel is still alive. So Adrian is killing Daniel. He knew that Daniel was alive and didn't want to help him. So Virginia got shook about this real story and the murder of Daniel. So he took a 10 minutes break, and then she goes to Thomas' apartment, who is across from Adrian's apartment, and she finally looked at Adrian from across the street. So this is Adrian's building and this is Thomas' building, and then in here, when she looked to Adrian, and then Adrian looked Virginia, and then Virginia uncovers her makeup. So all this time, it's not the real Virginia. It's actually Thomas' wife. Thomas' wife and himself met at the theater or something like that. And then he stopped some recording, and eventually Virginia gave him a pen that actually records all of the Adrian's facts. And then the real Virginia came in just a couple of seconds after Daniel noticed that he had been fooled by Daniel's parents. And the movie ends with Thomas call the police that he had an evidence of the killer of his son. My opinion to this movie, that this movie is very twisted and very unexpected ending. At the first, I didn't expect it to be a truly plot crime, but the actors nailed it. Even at the climax, the act is good. The writer of this movie, I think he's very smart because, Oh, and I think this means that you cannot trust somebody else, even though they have a really high intelligence or something, because they can lie to you. So Daniel's parents is trying themselves to find the killer of their only son without the help from the cops or something, because they noticed that Adrian isn't real effect, because whether Daniel's parents try to give some proof, the cops is always like, oh no, that's not Daniel or something, so they fought by themselves. I think that's all. Okay, I suggested you to watch too. Maybe the summary is kind of confusing, so you have to watch it by yourself.